go check out the Hugelkultur beds. So this one is carrots and garlic. There may be some onions and there's some random tomatoes as well, but mostly it's carrots and garlic. And a Mr. Colin waffles. This is cauliflower that I've left to go to seed, so I've got plenty of seeds. There are some small ones coming up at the bottom, so it's netted because we're in butterfly time and they will lay their eggs. So I've just draped this net over it for now. The next bed, was my first ever Hugel bed, which is why it's so big. It will be reduced, so I'm not planting too much in here for now, and you'll see when I'm up the other end why it's going to be reduced if you haven't watched previous videos. And all that's in here are some peppers that have come up year after year, and same with some chilies. So they're just left to continue, but I'm not planting anything else in here for now. Here is where I've been planting the salsify. This was my mission to plant this year, some beds, what I would like to call my fields of broccoli. So we have netting over this. The pots are only there to keep the netting up, so butterflies don't lay on the outer part of the net and lay their eggs. So this is a field of broccoli, and I don't know how well you can see, but you'll see I literally sowed en masse. I want to create as many as I possibly can, and that is all over this bed, just masses and masses of broccoli. The ones that are up are ones that I started a few indoors just to get some going, but can you see how many I've sown? And these are all seeds from years that I've grown broccoli. So that is coming on a treat. And then we have onions and a random lettuce. This is my pumpkins I was growing indoors. There's a few here, and these I am watering every few days, because if I lose these I'll be very sad. These are Jappy little pumpkins. I grew these last year and I only ended up with a couple of really tiny, well they are supposed to be tiny, but small pumpkins. They all budded and they all started growing as pumpkins, but there was only a couple of really good ones. But these are good already. I wanted to make sure they were really strong before they came outside. We have nothing here at the moment. This will probably be watermelon or rock melon. I think possibly this was rock melon last year, so I've sown some seeds. They'll be in a while. This is the end of this bed of lettuce for this year. We've had so much from it, mostly rosa lettuce, but as you can see there's a couple of green varieties as well. These are still okay to eat, but I always leave these to go to seed. Some of them will drop and they just resow themselves again next year in the same spot, which is fine for lettuce, and the rest I will harvest. Then we have Mr. Colin waffles supervising the 2 beds of eggplants or aubergines. We've had so many of them already this year. Are you looking at the cat or at the produce? He knows how to get attention. So there's 2 beds of those, and flowers are still coming. These are just continuing to grow all the time. There was still one decent sized one. Oh, here he is down here. Just so I can show you, there's about 5 different varieties here. So that's what I call the round one. They're not so easy for me to cut. I prefer either the long thin ones, like the black beauties are okay, but the long thin ones are easier to prepare for me. And I do like the marble ones, as they produce very pretty produce. And all these flowers, every time I see the flowers just continue and continue. I literally get a flower and rub it onto the next nearest flower, and everything pollinates anyway. Then we have here a bed. I'll just unwrap it so you can see. This is newly sown kohlrabi. I can't remember if it's white and red. There's definitely white in there. So that's doing really well, and we've had a lot of that harvested already. And then this is a bit of a random bed. I've still got to work out the measurements from the other end, so I'm not doing too much in this bed, because I think these two beds join together with the new measurement, so not worrying too much. This is the mother plant of the Malabar spinach, so I just let that do its own thing. This is what I've harvested all my Malabar spinach plants from, rooted them all from this one. So thank you, mother plant. And then we've got another kohlrabi growing there. And you'll notice Colin Waffles walks with me all the time. And there's a random broccoli and chard that I've left go to seed. One of the tomato Hugelkultur beds. And I've done a video how I do this staking. You only need 4 stakes around your perimeter. And then you don't need to stake each individual tomato. Just string across, and this works really well. So we've had a lot of tomatoes already, all different varieties mixed up, and the next lot are coming through. So I just kept continually planting tomato seeds. Then we need quite a lot of peppers. So this is one pepper bed. These are from the indoor garden. All my growing indoors. I've got a random other plant there. So we've got peppers there. Another tomato area. The reason we've got canes here is because this bed's going to be bigger than it was. So eventually I'll be adding 2 more poles on the outer perimeter. There's another tomato plant there. As I say, we've had a lot already. Now this was interesting. This was seeded straight in the Hugel bed, beetroot, the whole bed on the same day. Interesting. Just this little bit's taken. I blame ants. If you don't think you've got an ant problem, you probably have. If your seeds disappear, and you think, no, I don't have ants. No, you don't. They're all underneath enjoying your seeds. So I blame ants when the seeds disappear like that. And funny how they've obviously worked their way across. And by the time they got to these are too strong for them. Started growing. Then we have another pepper bed. Again, these are from my indoor growing. All doing rather well. See, there is. There. And another pepper bed. I've still got a few more peppers to come out. They're the very last few peppers we'd eaten, and I take the seeds out, throw them in a pot. I'm guessing there's possibly 6 more pots, so that will fill all the last gaps. Looks like another chard random there. Chard's so easy to grow here. It grows naturally here as well. Same as salsify. We never have to sow those. And then a whole proper chard bed, which I use so much in my sauces with the random broccoli. I use these so much. Nice sauce for pasta or rice. And then another tomato bed. And I'll link the video below how I make this. And which is the best method, because they're actually all slightly different combinations of grids. And then this is part of my broccoli field. Again, net over the top. Any brassicas here I need to net. And I'm going to build something more permanent, which will be in my new raised beds down in the Lower Olive Grove. That will be in the future. Some were sown before others, and again I have these water containers just to hold the net up. So as I say, some are better. There's a couple of chard in there, but yes, I don't know how we can see through the net, but field of broccoli. That's the aim this year, because now I have the freezer. Thanks to Little Garden Big Dreams, she contributed a large amount for me getting a chest freezer, and that means I can grow something more like broccoli that I was growing, but as you know, you have to eat it as it grows or it turns to flour. So now I can freeze it. And then we have, I've talked about these before, these were new type of radish I've grown. They grow long and thin, white. They look like carrots. They go quite long, maybe to about here, and much thicker, and they were really spicy. So we've got those there. We've got some carrots in the middle, and then here normal radish, just round red radish, and they're coming up slowly. We've had a lot of these, and we've had lots of the white ones here. And the last bed, nothing, because I've got a weed vine in here, and I'm pretty sure I did put cardboard down, and I want to put more soil in. This is the it's weed vine. I want to get rid of this, so it's no good just pulling it out, you've got to get the source. So I want to work on that one, but that's for a future time. And then, as you can see, got a compost area here, and this is what we're doing. I've spoken about this before. Mike wants to put these very short, they're not really raised beds, they're just a border round them all. He's measuring them out, so he's making the same size with the same gap, which is wide enough for a wheelbarrow. Always consider that. You will always want to put wheelbarrow around anything, any beds. So he wants to do this because for him it's easier to strim, and also the Hugelkulture material doesn't stray off and take the water running with it. It contains it a little more. So he's slowly going to work his way down here. He does this between other jobs, and he's not going to do them round the tomato plants. They're going to stay as they are. Pretty much most of them are about right anyway. One I did change. This one is the one I was changing because he's put a marker for me. So that one's side laying down. So I need to put some more cardboard this little bit here to make it the right length. So he's left the width there for me. So this one needed to be wider and more this way. So I've got that one. The next one's pretty much right. The next one's pretty much right. I did sort of get them sorted out a bit more, which is why some of them aren't piled up really high, because it was more about getting the markings right. This isn't going to change, but it is right anyway. This one's pretty much right, maybe a little bit wider, but he'll mark that out for me. This one's not changing. As I say, I think here, to make the gap right in between here, these join up a bit more, so this I think becomes one bed. But as I say, he's not marked these for me yet, because what's in them is staying in them. This is the kohlrabi bed. The two eggplants, I have to think what you call them. We call them aubergines. So these two are pretty much right. The lettuce is right. This one may be a shift, I can't remember. Looks like something might change here a little bit. This one, the pumpkin one, we're going to keep in that direction because I don't want to have to change all that, and there is a tree here that overhangs, so that's why I made it that way. And I think these are more or less right. I spaced them by eye. so they're not too bad. I think these are pretty much okay. As I say, this is my first ever one. This has definitely got to come in a bit, but looking at it now, I think it's that far side there comes in, which is good. Probably just come to about here, and this one's more or less right, just a bit wider, and then this one will obviously be reduced as well, because this is a bit big where I'm trying to water the whole thing. Where that tomato is, I think it probably needs to come to there, so all this area. That's my latest update on the Hugelkulture area. Don't forget, I've got many different areas, so look out for videos of the other areas as to what's growing. And on the way back, I've picked 4 strawberries for us from the strawberry patch. Until next time, Maraki.